Hey everyone, GC Smith here. Now, this is a League of Legends based video, and for anyone watching my channel, you'll know I want to get into League of Legends videos, a lot more of them. And I've already done one video commentary, and I do hope to do more of those. But if you're following League of Legends news, then you know Zed has been announced as the next League of Legends champion. And when I get a chance to actually get through the queue in the public beta environment, I will be bringing you footage of him in some gameplay and some opinions of that champion. But, you know, he is another Assassin champion after a long run of Assassin's champions and mids and AD carry and tank, leaving me wondering, where is the support? So I've come up with my own idea for a support-based champion called, as you can see on the screen, Tidus. Now I want to start this video by saying this is only an idea I've had for a champion. This is not in any way an official champion-based thing for League of Legends or anything that's been announced by Riot. This is all my own ideas, and is very unlikely to ever be used. But it's just my idea, and I just want to see what you guys out there watching this think. So we shall go on, shall we? First off, who is this Tidus? Well, the idea is to have him as a ranged support slash possibly being able to go mid, but mostly support-based champion. We've had some mid champions. And he'll be based on being able to use ability power, and I aim to give him a kind of unique playstyle. So why support? As I said, there's been a large amount of jungle, mid, assassin-based champions, a lot of AD champions, and there are a lot of AD champions in the game, and a lot of jungle, mid champions in the game. Very few support champions in comparison to those numbers in this game. And most games I do often see people like Blitzcrank and Alistair, or Lux maybe. So you don't really see many supports that actually dominate the meta scene. So the aim of this champion is to create a support champion with a different playstyle, and the playstyle I'm trying to support is sustaining your guy, and also supporting through anti-sustain, making it harder for the enemy team to sustain their lane, and try and being less passive in gameplay, and make a champion that's easy to learn and hard to master. So one of the ways, as things I've just said, and the aims, is to make a less passive support. People like Soroka, even Lux to some extent, feel a lot passive. They just stand at the back and do stuff. This guy, I just want to kind of make him feel a little less passive, that he's doing stuff and actually, having control. And make every ability that he has kind of have the chance to hurt the enemy in a way. And kind of have him a different role to other supports. So the skills I have come up with for him are this. First, Runic Presence, which is his passive. Water Lance, which will probably be his Q. Blessing of the Tides or Curse of the Tides is depending on who it targets. And Ocean's Icy Grip, and then his ultimate, Patience of the Seafarer. Now, he is going to be unique and controversial, this champion idea, for anyone watching this, because he will have a sort of mana burn. But that is going to be tied to a high base, skill-based mechanic. And so we come on to his first ability, Runic Presence. Provides a constant mana regen to himself and nearby friendly champions. And this will scale every time he levels his ultimate. And for example, can scale 2 mana per second to 5 to 10 to 15. Obviously that's probably too high for a passive. But numbers can change. That's just a basic idea from what I believe he as a champion can have. Now, it's not amazing passive, but it's a passive, and it's meant to be kind of passive, and it does help sustaining of his lane. It keeps his make sure his lane has mana, and it kind of opens the opportunity up, so he doesn't need to start with the mana item that a lot of supports start. He can start with the health item and then upgrade to the health regen item and go up to the gold per second item through that way. And then we'll come up to his first ability. Actual active ability called Water Lance. It's an AoE targeted ability that does splash damage in an area around the target, like within the area of effect, and will leave behind a pool of the same size of the area effect. Now, the pool is designed to drain a certain amount of mana every second of enemy champions standing in it, and they do disappear after a short period, but can be refreshed. Now, this is a mechanic that a lot of people say, oh, is she? Morello has said he doesn't like mana drain items, or doesn't like mana drain because it can be unfun. You lose all your resource. But the idea behind this isn't so you lose all your resource. Whereas Wit's End used to have mana drain, that is on an AD carry normally. You put on an AD carry and just drain all the mana in seconds. This isn't how this is meant to be. This is going to be a clearly visible pool that isn't that big. It's a rather small area of effect, Water Lance. The whole point is it's kind of aimed to only really affect one champion, but the area effect kind of allows it to hit minions, help you push the waves if you need to, and leave this pool, which is the important part of the mechanic. And obviously, the enemy champion has to stand in this pool in order for the mana to be drained. They don't stand in the pool, your mana's not drained. That's simple. So as long as you don't stand in the pool, your mana won't be drained and you won't be affected, which I think is rather cool. Now, I was tempted to... one idea I did have was the splash damage is true damage, so it's it's a small amount of true damage, so it doesn't really scale too well, which kind of helps stop the champion possibly snowballing and make it more of a balanced champion that kind of stays similar power and have the mana drained per second when the enemy champions are standing in the pool being affected by ability power. Well, I think actually it's probably more balanced and obviously more in key to the objective to make this mana drain more fun for the opponents and not just be douchey, is to have the mana drain be a set amount that maybe levels up every time you level your Q, but the splash damage obviously increases based on your AP, which kind of gives this champion more of soloing ability if you want to take the mid, really. Now, obviously, there are people watching this go, "Oh well, it's mana drain, or I shouldn't have it." Now, I think mana drain's a mechanic that can be quite useful in the game, and obviously isn't that bad. As long this kind of mana drain, you'll only notice it if you're staying in the pools, and if you make it like 1% mana a second, you're not going to notice it because it takes 100 seconds for you to lose all your mana. You're not going to notice that compared to the mana you're losing by using your abilities. You're really not. But over the course of a fight, it can, obviously, or over the course of laning period, it can, cause them to have to base a couple of times to get their mana. It's kind of cool that way. And also, don't forget, that you're still regenerating your mana at the same time, so you could be regenerating, theoretically, your mana at a faster rate than you're losing it, which I think could be quite cool. And it does add a bit of zoning ability to this character. Yes, while you have Lux with her AoE that kind of zones because it stays there, this is a pool that you don't want to stand in because you don't want to lose your mana. You want to keep it, so obviously you kind of want to stay away from it. So it does allow him to kind of control the lane and help control the lane a bit as well. Now, what I say here is the pools disappear. So, like, say you put the pool down and the pool stays for 5 seconds, then disappears. But the idea is, if you place another pool like right next to it, then place another water lance, so another pool appears right next to it. That first pool kind of merges with the second pool, kind of merges with the first pool, and both are refreshed. Like the first one's refreshed by the second one appearing, and then you can keep doing that like the third and the fourth. So it kind of keeps refreshing it. Now, obviously, then, this kind of gets to the point where you could cover an entire lane, and that is clearly unfun. So, obviously, the point of that, you would put probably a mechanic in place that says, once you're so far away, the pools disappear. It's because you're near it, So, once you're actually out of range of these pools for your standard Water Lance ability, the pools disappear. Now, I do want Water Lance to be quite a long-ranged ability, so you can fire it from the back a bit, but the idea is, obviously, therefore, when you base, the pools will disappear. And when you run back to maybe buy items, the pools will disappear. So not always in lane. And also, when you have cast other abilities, you may be casting other abilities, you may get low on mana, and, you may not even chain the abilities. Because if you're trying to hit the opponent with these abilities to do damage to them, the pools may spread apart and therefore not refresh each other, and therefore, fail to stay up. And this is kind of a part of his skill-based mechanic. The idea is I want him to be a highly skill-based champion. So this kind of ability, do you place it on the actual opponent or do you just use it to refresh these pools? It's kind of a good way of maintaining skill. And the same way, it's not tied to auto-attacking or anything. It's up to you to actively put these things down and make sure they're refreshed if you really want to do it. So it kind of adds an element of tactical layer, and it kind of removes the douchebaggery away of mana drain. And I think this is a lot more fun mechanic because obviously the opponent gets I need to play a bit better, and it kind of pushes the opponent to play their lane better and outlane you and try and outmaneuver you so that these don't become a problem. So there's a fun element there for them to prove their skill. Now, the second ability is Blessing or Curse of the Tides, which rejuvenates a target ally, it's meant to be a target ally, giving them mana or curses an enemy to reduce mana. And mana gained for allies that goes over the pool grants health. So, say your ally has full mana. Then, And when you cast this on them, it will actually heal them instead of giving them mana. Also, if they're near full mana, you'll give them up to full mana, and then a certain amount of your mana extra. So say they had 200 mana, and you were granting them 400 mana with your ability power and everything. Then, they're 200 mana down. Sorry, you give them 400 mana, so 200 goes into their mana pool. The other 200 is split into health. Now, it won't be necessarily 200 heal, but it may be 100 heal, so half of that goes into healing. So you obviously have to balance the numbers to make sure it's balanced. But that's the kind of mechanic. Now, for the reducing mana, one of the ideas was maybe you actually remove some of their mana. So it takes 200 mana from the enemy when you use it. And then that was my original idea, actually, was when you do you take mana from the enemy using it, so you can take 500 mana away from the enemy at once. But again, that's like unfun, because suddenly they literally have no resource and you've not done much to them, and that kind of is unfair. The reason I was going to do that is then when they had no mana, it did damage. So in a similar way to when you fill up your friendly mana bar, you end up changing it into a heal, it changes it into a damage. So if they had 300 mana and you took 400 mana, that extra mana would go into damaging them. So it adds a damage component to the ability. What I think is probably better for this and ties it better to your other mana drain ability is actually reduce their mana regen temporarily. So when you cast it on them, their mana regen slows. So it kind of makes the pools even more deadly, because then they're not mana regenning while in the pools. And it adds some, it ties the abilities together, which I think is a better effect. Now, actually, I would like to do damage. Maybe it does a small amount of damage and reduces their mana regen. That could be something that you could do and think of, and I think would add a lot more unity and symbiosis in the abilities. Then his next ability is Ocean's Icy Grip. The idea behind this is it freezes all his nearby pools, again, being symbiotic with his other ability, causing damage to any enemy standing in the pool at the time, as well as stunning them for a small amount of time. The frozen pools will remain for, say, it's meant to be X seconds. It's for, say, 10 seconds, for example. The stun's obviously not 10 seconds, but the frozen pools stay there after the enemy's been stunned, and will slow enemies for a moderate amount and increases friendly moving speed. Now, I don't want it to be too high, because if the pools are staying here for 10 seconds, that's quite a lot in a team fight. So I'd say maybe 20% slow, 10% speed increase, or 5% slow, 5% speed increase. Not much, but enough to kind of give your team a slight edge in the fight. And the main component of that is obviously meant to be the stun and damage when you've got pools everywhere. So that's the idea behind it. And then his ultimate, Patience of the Seafarer. Shields a friendly champion from damage over a period of time. And when that shield breaks or runs off naturally because the enemy didn't do enough damage to it, provides the target champion, your target friendly champion that you put this on, with amount of bonus AP or AD, which the highest of the stat they have. So obviously if they have AD, if they're an AD carry, their attack damage will be higher than their ability power, so they'll gain attack damage in the same way as if they're ability power based champion, they'll have a great amount of ability power than attack damage, hopefully, so their ability power is increased. And this is increases for a short amount of time, and the increase is based on the amount of damage your shield absorbs. So obviously if they don't break the shield, it runs off naturally, it will give you lesser effect. And the whole point is this is about obviously Patience or Seafarer. It's it shields you immediately and then gives you a bonus after the shields run off. So it protects you, and then when you're no longer protected, it gives you the ability to fight the opponent off. It's kind of a supporting ultimate, which can be quite useful on yourself. You can put it on yourself, shield yourself, say if you went mid lane, and then just water lance them, and then do that. But it's more of a team-based ability. The whole point of this champion is he's more of a support than he is a soloer, and he's kind of designed around that principle. So his complete kit melds together. He has the shield that helps the team survive the fight. He has pools which slowly drain mana from the enemy. Then he has an ability which, in my idea, would slow the mana regen, so it makes those pools more deadly. And then it also has a thing that makes the pools freeze and damage the opponents and slows them. So obviously if they're in the pool, so if you're trying to get away, you could put a couple of pools down. If you've got cooldown reduction, if you say it's a 5-second cooldown water lance, something like that, then it will melt together quite well. You kind of use it to get away. While he's running for the pools, you put the mana regen nullifier on him, so he doesn't regen mana as quickly. His mana slowly goes down, so he chases you, you stun him, you get away, and you've taken some mana down from him. You don't do much damage, but you do remove some of his resources. And as I say, this is meant to be less douchebaggy way of doing it. I've hopefully come up with an idea that's more fun than, say, Wit's End was. And by the way, actually, I wanted to do with go back to Ocean's Icy Grip is because this can stun 5 enemies all at once and do a moderate amount of damage based on your ability power, was the idea that this actually increases its mana cost with the amount of pools. Because multiple pool, like this pool does damage to you and this pool does damage to you. Since the stuns will be simultaneous, the stuns won't build up. The damage might multiply, or you could do it that you can only take damage from one pool. But I would say maybe doing the damage for each pool less, and therefore the more pools you hit, the more damage you take. And the whole point is actually trying to hit the enemy with as many pools as possible to actually do any reasonable damage, but then increase the mana cost with many pools. So you could theoretically lose all your mana in one cast because you've got so many pools out. But obviously, due to your passive and hopefully other items, your mana regen shouldn't be too much of a problem for yourself. So as I say, it melts together is rather different to other supports, because other supports are literally heal or stun. There's none that really try and actually dominate the lane phase in a way that kind of opens up opportunities for defeating the enemy, as getting ganks on the enemy or opening up on the enemy, but also provides an active kind of passive playstyle that supports the team actively while you're doing that. Because the problem is you have champions like Soraka that literally just mana heal. That's all they do. Whereas this champion kind of can actively move up the lane, placing these mana pools down to try and control zones of the lane, direct ganks in a certain way so the enemy gank from a certain direction, allowing you to ward properly. It's a way that it kind of works together. It does support the team, and hopefully, with the way the skills are based, the champion shouldn't snowball too badly if they do get kills, and it stops them snowballing. Because I don't like a champion like this that can snowball. It's meant to be more of a supporty based champion, and it does have a high skill set. The idea is when you place things will actually change it. A better skill player will know where to place these more importantly than a low skill player. But the mechanics aren't too hard to grasp. It is easy to learn, hard to master. So now we come on to lore. Now, I'm going to say this now, the lore isn't very well constructed. It's a basic idea that I've come up with. Hopefully it's not too terrible, but I did want to give some lore for this champion idea. So during the Rune Wars, after the end of the Rune War, or during the Rune Wars of Runeterra, a priestess created a ring using shards from a broken runestone. This ring was designed to help her after the war, to help heal the victims of the Rune War, help her healing magic and the recovery of Runeterra in the aftermath. And it's actually this ring which gives the guy his passive. It's the magic flowing from this ring that helps regenerate nearby mana. However, while travelling by sea to reach a village off the coast on this island, her boat and her ship was attacked by, was attacked by pirates, and the ring was lost in the fight. The ring basically falls into the ocean, where it's lost to the tides, and eventually coming to rest on the ocean floor, where the story might have ended if it wasn't for the fact that it was leaking magic. This magic leaches out into the waters, and over time, the waters coalesce around the ring, and eventually explodes out into this sentient creature of water, Tidus, who, but by this time, the village itself has, obviously recovered and become a major fishing port, and has become a thriving fishing port. And it is this port, as they're fishing their waters, they're running out of fish nearer to the village. So they've kind of gone out into the oceans to fish, and they've gone into Tidus's part of the ocean, and he thinks they're stealing fish, stuff they haven't, have right, and they are overfishing. The whole point is they're overfishing and taking what they don't need. So he's enraged, and he simply wants to bring, scare the guys off and bring, save the fish around it, because he believes he's an element of the oceans. He is a representation of the oceans. But his plan to churn the waters and scare the seamen off goes too well, and instead of scaring them off, he kills them all. And the problem was he felt that the humans were butchers on these fish, and he went and butchered them. So he feels distraught and terrified by what he's done. He realises he's not actually much better than them. There's still a lot to learn. He hasn't got a great idea. And I'll say he wants you to help. All he wanted to do was support his local environment. So he goes up to join the surface realm. While searching, he doesn't find any way he fits in until he comes to League of Legends, where he fits in perfectly. Where if he supports and kills people in the process, well, no one minds, and it kind of way he fits in. So, as I said, if you're watching this video, tell me what you think of this champion idea overall below. Remember, these were just my ideas. There's nothing to do with Riot itself. These were just my ideas of what I thought would make an interesting supporting champ. If you like this video, don't forget to like. And if you want to see other of my videos when I do more League of Legends based videos, or you like my other videos and you just want to see general videos I put out, don't forget to subscribe. And thank you very much for watching this. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I do hope I can bring you more interesting videos, maybe more champion ideas in the future, but definitely more League of Legends based videos. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.